What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today we are out yet again in Blairsville, Georgia at Elliot Grafton's place, the 944 barn. And we are picking up parts for the 924S, quite possibly Kayla's 944 as well. But for the 924S, we're looking at, if you guys remember in the last episode, we're looking at steel rear end parts, early 924, early 944 as well, yeah. Right? Rear end parts. Because I'm dealing with some clearance issues, air suspension, if that's the way I continue to go down that road on the 924S. The aluminum rear trailing arms are really big right here, as you guys can see here. They're real big, and this is where the lower shock mounts, and the shock has a millimeter of clearance to the arm, and that's going to be detrimental to putting any sort of like air cup or air bag mount in there. So with the steel, they're real thin, and then it has a boxed piece that the lower mount for the shock is, which would obviously be my lower mount for an airbag strut essentially. And since this is metal, I can weld to it, so I can move this around, change the offset, trim it, or anything like that. So we're out here at Elliot's. He was kind of jazzed up on this whole idea too, because he had the parts, and if we continue to go down the air suspension route on the 924S, this is all kind of cool modification stuff. So I need metal rear trailing arms, I need the early style spring plates, and axles, right?
And axles, yeah.
And this changes the track width a little bit in the back by what looks like almost like an inch. Yeah, here we go. Yep. The early metal trailing arms have a factory free-floating spacer on them. And so essentially you can just pull that off. You get basically an inch of a narrower track width, which means you could fit a wider wheel in the back or a more negative offset wheel in the back with this setup. But luckily, it sounds like I can run my rotors and my calipers. The bearings are different. The aluminum trailing arms take a sealed bearing, whereas these have an inner and outer cartridge bearing. I'll probably end up just doing new bearings in these and cleaning up the arms and all that. But for right now, that's what we're looking at doing. Trailing arms, spring plates, axles, and cleaning everything up. Elliot was super nice enough to go into his stash to kind of help facilitate this nonsense on this car. Out of all the 944, 924s he has, and if you guys haven't been on the channel, you haven't seen the insanity that is here. I mean, and the colors too. Like the colors are just so crazy. Does not have, nor has he bagged one yet. So he's kind of like on board in a way with looking at if this is doable in the right way. Because him and I both agree that the overall MO for bagging the 924S is to get it to handle as well as it would on coilovers. That's the whole point. It's not to be stancy. It's nice to be stancy and to have the ability to raise and lower the car and fit whatever size wheel you want at any given time, really. But the whole point is to make it a good driving car, which is what they were designed to be in the first place. So we're out here. It's a Sunday. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's 70 degrees. It's beautiful out here finally. And as you guys saw at the beginning of the episode, we drove the long Ocoee River on the way out here. Beautiful Smoky Mountain roads. We're looking at some cool European Euro spec parts for Kayla's 944 as well.
Okay, I need to get this off.
There we go.
Yeah.
The first lowering mod done. Now to go lower. You want a bump stop? Caliper number 1 off. Are they hard to get, like new?
They're expensive, super expensive.
Wow.
So I've got guys that buy these in bulk to refurbish them. And
Yep.
they'll zinc coat them or powder coat them and put new seals and all that.
Wow, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. So still haven't made up my mind yet if we're going air suspension or coilovers. I kind of am okay with either. It's partly because of Elliot that I'm like really kind of pushing to go air because he hasn't bagged one of his before, nor, like you said, you've never even seen one in person.
I've never seen one in person, and I'm going to be interested to see if you do bags, how it rides. That's always the big question. A lot of people think that if you bag a car, it's going to kill the handling, and these cars are known for their excellent handling characteristics, so
yeah,
I'm curious to see what the ride quality is going to be like. It'll be a good comparison if we can get two of them out, a bagged car and a car on coilovers, and maybe a stock suspension car, and drive all three.
That'd be cool.
And see how they feel, you know?
That'd be cool. We talked earlier about possibly doing this on the Tail of the Dragon, which isn't too far from here. And I've never been to the Dragon before. So perhaps Elliot takes one of his street-ready kind of modified Porsches. We bag the 924S. I take that out, and perhaps Kayla takes a stock 944. Unfortunately, hers isn't stock anymore, but I'm sure we can find one that is stock here. Because there's like probably 50 944s here, including a race-ready, full-caged pink one with a famous livery.
Yep.
So that's kind of what's pushing me in that direction, is the fact that like it can almost be like an R&D project to be like, okay, even if it doesn't quite handle as well as coilovers, there's things that you could improve on.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if it's an improvement over stock, then it's an improvement. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be the absolute best that you can get for the car. It just if it's a step up, why not?
You're able to like raise the car, you can lower the car.
Yeah.
So much as just getting it on a trailer or something.
Right.
But
That's
what's
cool.
lost is the old idea of air suspension is that bathtub of water feeling, when you've got 4 valves.
Right.
So you've got a front teed off and the rear teed off, and they share the air. So if you corner left real hard and the car leans to the right, it compresses air out of that bag, but it goes to the other side and inflates that. So it exaggerates. So if you do a 4-valve vintage setup in a car, you're going to get that exaggeration in tub of water feeling. So when you corner hard and the car leans to the right, when that bag compresses, air escapes it, and it's got to go somewhere. And if it's teed off to the line on the other side, it'll go into that other bag and inflate that bag. So when you've got a closed circuit, 4-cornered, like modern management car, that line's closed. So the bag is acting like an actual spring at that point, where the air is closed and staying in there. And depending on your PSI and then the dampening of your shocks, I mean, we see track cars on air suspension. You know, Aero Performance has a whole like fleet of race cars on the track on air, and I think we're going to be able to like get the thing to handle pretty well.
I think so too.
So maybe you guys will see us out at the Tail of the Dragon in a future episode, hopefully pretty soon, if this car does go on air, and we'll really put it to the test, which I haven't done on the channel before. I haven't really like, you guys have seen me drive cars coast to coast, cross country, but that's simply a durability test. We haven't actually done a performance test on anything I've ever had before, because I haven't really had anything performance based. It's been luxury, or it's been old kind of ratty hot rod.
Yeah.
All right, so the other thing I need is axles for those rear trailing arms and spring plates. So that'll complete the rear conversion. You can see here all of the aluminum arms. So many. So many Porsche 944 parts.
Yeah.
Are they normally a 2-piece?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it goes like that.
So this is they call this a turbo valance for the rear of a 944. They're the best looking addition to those cars, I think.
Yeah. It's nice because it pretty much bolts right onto the NA.
Yep. Boy, that's perfect.
Brixner.
What's the name of it?
Brixner.
And you didn't know that until you got it off, probably, because it's on the inside? Or did you have to do some research?
I made a post about it, and I said, hey, anybody know what this is? And someone commented and said, yeah, Brixner. Yeah, there's the other
2-piece,
side
yeah.
piece there. They had side skirts that matched, but the side skirts are pretty ugly.
Yeah.
They're like Ferrari looking with the big
Koenig
vents.
style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that type of stuff.
Yeah,
but,
me too.
But this is too cheesy. But this I think is cool.
That looks so good on it, because I got a chance to see that on the car
Yeah.
last time we were here. And since it's a Euro market car, the bumper in that complemented real well. Okay, so we're grabbing axles for the 924S, and what we just took out, I'll show you guys in a second. We took out another 944 Euro rear bumper because there's a bracket in it, a Euro bumper specific bracket that I'm going to take with us, because Kayla is going to be purchasing a rear Euro bumper for her 944, but the US market rear bumper mounts aren't the same. So Elliot's nice enough to let me take a Euro one so I can replicate it.
Yeah, there's one good axle, one bad axle. Let me get another good one.
This one here, the last one you took out's a good one?
That's a good one, yeah. This one here has got
Oh, yeah.
very worn out joint.
And these are shorter than the late ones because it's a narrower track width?
Yeah, so here's early and here's late.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's a huge difference.
Yeah, but it's because of how the stub axle sticks further in
Yes.
on the end of the trailing arm.
Yeah. Are they really expensive to buy new or rebuilt?
The new ones are junk. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They're not expensive, but they're Chinese made. Even with German brand,
Yeah.
they manufacture them in China or whatever, and they just fail. They destroy. That one feels pretty solid.
Nice.
I like that one. Say that's a winner.
Nice. All right, so this is the Euro rear bumper, or the rear Euro bumper bracket. And this part here mounts in the car, and this here fits into the bumper, where a little piece of the bumper slides between here, the bolt passes up through and holds it all together. So basically I'm gonna take this home and do my best to replicate it. All right guys, so here's the rear end conversion laid out. Pretty simple. We've got the steel trailing arms, we've got the spring plates, and we've got the axles. And you saw inside Elliot's storage building the extreme difference in the lengths of the axles, and also where the lower shock mounts on the trailing arms. You can see that that's a boxed in mount as opposed to the aluminum arms where it's just a port for a bolt to pass through the eyelet of the shock. I've been kind of taking some notes on Elliot's 924 Turbo over there, trying to get some wheel spec notes off of that car because I want to build the RSs to the millimeter of allowance on that narrow body. Also for Kayla's 944, Elliot had a Euro rear bumper, which is coming home, and a turbo valence diffuser. So these are really cool. These are a two-piece, and they pair very well with the small Euro bumper. And this is an NA bumper with the small bump strip, right? That's the difference. But I'll show you real quick what the turbo valence looks like on a car, because Elliot basically has one on every single car here, but they look so good on the car. It's a two-piece setup, and it allows for the cutout for the exhaust to pass through. Next one back, turbo valence with an American bumper that's not tucked. That one up there is a Euro bumper. Got another one here on the caged car with an American bumper. This one here is Euro bumper, no valence. Then we've got 924S like mine, Euro 924 bumper, no valence. We have a turbo 944, American bumper, turbo valence. And then we've got the 924 Turbo with just a tucked American bumper, no valence. And I love the look of the tucked American bumper. It just has the holes in it when you take the bump strips off. Euro NA bumper with the turbo valence. Euro bumper, turbo valence. And we have a right-hand drive S2, my favorite in his fleet, by the way, with the Euro bumper and turbo valence. And then his 968, which is one of my favorite cars that he owns as well. Freshly painted in this purple with the DTM wing. But that's the haul. Got some wheel specs, got the rear end. All I'm gonna have to do now is just get to work on the 924S. Gotta drop my rear end out, bolt all this stuff up, pull the torsion bars out so then I can compress the suspension so I can start fitting wheels, because I have not started to rebuild or spec out the RSs yet. But this is a good start, man. I really appreciate all of the help.
Yeah.
I mean, this is great. It's like having one of these cars and having you close by.
Load her up.
Yeah.
I'll bring stuff over. You look.
Yeah, no problem. I got gloves on. I can carry those. All right.
This thing's like a pickup truck.
Work truck.
Every daily driver I get turns into a work truck.
Yeah, same.
All right, guys. So I'm home. Got all the early 944 stuff back with me. Huge thanks to Elliot again for all of this help. If you need or want any 944 stuff or 944, be sure to hit Elliot up. He's in Blairsville, Georgia. Great guy and very knowledgeable about these cars. We are a week and a few days away from Riverside, and the Bag Riders boys are coming down here to Chattanooga for Riverside, and they want to bring anything I'm going to need to bag the 924S with them. and they leave next Wednesday. So that is a week and 2 days. Basically a week and 1 day, because this is the end of Monday now. So that being said, I have to get the Porsche in here and up on the lift and the whole rear end out of it in the next couple of days. So expect another episode or two in the next week on the 924S. Got a lot to blitz on that car, a lot of work to put in. So thanks again for coming along to 944 Barn. It's always a great time seeing Elliot out there and see what he's got going on. We will see you guys in the next episode.